be like how we need to win and things like that. I'm extremely impressed with that.
We ticked off, don't nobody like losing. I know none of you guys would like losing, especially when we know we got a lot of talent on our team.
All right, Cam with the Coming to America hat and the tassel, that was fancy. Max, can the Pats keep this up?
Yes, they can. I mean, you remember, I was saying it's fair to question for the first time when it looked bad for the Pats. Is Belichick still the best coach in football? Because we saw Mike Tomlin without his quarterback last year go 8-8. Well, Belichick is showing you right now. I want to remind everyone, when you perceive the Pats this year, it's like a doomed season, and now they have to claw their way back. I'll remind you, they started off with a double-digit win against Miami, 2-score game. A goal line stand stopped them from beating Seattle, but they were in that. Listen to the names of these teams I'm reeling off now. They beat the Raiders by more than 2 scores, and they lost to the Chiefs without Cam Newton, with calls going against them, and it's Kansas City, right? That's how they start the season. Cam had COVID. That's why he didn't play against the Chiefs. He comes back. Are we sure he's better? Because they lose to the Broncos, and they get stomped out by the Niners. Okay, but now we're a little bit removed from that. You'd think he'd be more recovered. The Bills, they lost because he was stripped. But, we're talking about 2 games now. I've mentioned Seattle's a goal line stand, the Bills, he was stripped. Think of the names of the teams I'm talking about. Miami, the Raiders, the Bills, right? These are powerhouse teams. Seattle. Then they beat the Jets, and they just beat the Ravens. So keep that in mind. The bad loss this year, really the 2 bad losses, Broncos and Niners, were right after Cam had COVID. Otherwise, they've been either extremely competitive or have beaten some of the best teams in football. Now think about their schedule coming up. If you think about Cam more at full strength, if in fact my hypothesis is correct, the Texans, is that a winnable game? Sure. Yeah. Arizona, you make them the favorites, maybe, but again, think of the teams that they've beaten, the Patriots, or almost beaten. They could beat Arizona, the Chargers, even the Rams. I don't think the Rams is an unwinnable game for New England. I don't see any Miami, they've already beat them. The Bills, they came close, and they had the Jets again. It's a tough schedule. There's some good teams. Arizona, L.A., Miami, Buffalo. Those are good teams.
The 14th hardest remaining schedule, so about middle of the pack.
I don't see any unwinnable games. Now, I don't think they're going to win them all. They'll probably lose a couple, but it's going to come down to, Stephen A., can Cam make the play with the games on the line, right? We've seen him falter a couple times. We've seen him come through. That's going to determine the season because Belichick will get these games close enough that it will be on the line. And if Cam comes through, they can win the division still.
I'm sorry, I don't see it that way. I really, really don't. I don't think they're making the playoffs. I don't think they're live right now. They're only about 2.5 games back of the Buffalo Bills. I can respect where you're coming from, but I think that we both look at Miami and Buffalo as being a better team than the New England Patriots. Last night they ran the football effectively with Damian Harris. He had a big game, but let's pump the brakes just a little bit here. I mean, inclement weather did have something to do with what transpired, and give Bill Belichick and the Patriots credit. They were in Foxborough. They're accustomed to playing under those conditions. Bill Belichick had them very, very well prepared, and it's not like Baltimore's another side of the world. They play in inclement weather too, but clearly it had an effect on them last night. There were a lot of passes being dropped by the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson throwing the football. Their running game was clearly compromised because of the inclement weather. I remember when you had Jacoby Myers throw that touchdown pass, all right, and floated it up in the air. You look at the Baltimore defenders, it's like, where am I? Where are we? Looking for the ball, and, they obviously didn't have their footing under them. This was an aberration on a given day where the weather is considerably better. I think you see a better performance from the Baltimore Ravens. And then we get to the schedule here. We got next week, the Houston Texans, as awful as they look. We understand that they could probably fall. They could probably win that game. But then thereafter, Arizona, back-to-back games in L.A. against the Chargers and the Rams inside of 5 days, the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. We're talking about 5 consecutive weeks that they've got these games. And like you said, they'll probably lose a couple of those games. That puts them at least 7 losses on the season, probably 8. And so my mentality is that, no, I don't see the Patriots.
The odds are stacked against them.
And that they...
I mean, I wouldn't put it at 50-50,
hold on. I don't condemn them because I've been on the record stating It's a lot to deal with COVID-19, with their practice facilities being shut numerous times,
Ding, ding,
with
ding.
Cam Newton and Stephon Gilmore both testing positive, with players elected not to participate even before the season started. I don't judge the Patriots negatively at all. It's been a crazy, crazy season. But I do believe that because of it, it's put them in a hole they're not going to be able to dig themselves out of in order to get to the postseason this year.
I think Miami's very good. I said my Super Bowl sleeper last week. I think they're very good, but that's not an unbeatable team. And I like the Bills a lot, but we've seen them lose some games you think they were really in a position to win. So is it 50-50 for the Patriots? No, because they did stumble. But when and why did they stumble? Let's evaluate actually the quality of the team, coaching included, their ability to win games. When did they stumble? You hit the nail on the head, Stephen A. It's not just that Cam got COVID and he missed the Chiefs game and then wasn't quite the same, right, for the next couple weeks and then seems to regain form a little bit more. But that was when that rash of canceled practices occurred.
Their facility was shut down.
Their facility was shut down, and then lo and behold, a team without the talent of
that
a team
is what I said.
Right, that's heavily reliant on coaching. Lo and behold, they're not in a good position to win games against teams like the Broncos or the Niners, right? They really need those practice facilities to be open. They need everything to go their way, but it's not impossible that it can. This is at their best, this is a quality team capable of beating anyone. And when I say anyone, I think the Chiefs would have beat them regardless. But imagine had they had Cam for that game, and he's healthy, and that call doesn't go against them. That's a tight game against Kansas City.
Well, here's the part that you're missing. Here's the part that you're missing. It's not like all the Patriots' remaining games are against those teams ahead of them. They got to depend on Buffalo and Miami to lose, too. They got to depend on Miami and Buffalo helping them dig themselves out of that hole. That's why I said I don't hold it against them. I don't see them winning all their games, but I think the situation that this entire season entailed put them in a hole I don't think they will dig themselves out of.
They'd have to.
That's all I'm saying.
They're going to have to upset the odds. They're going to have to upset the odds against Arizona. But let's say they can do that. Let's say they beat the Texans and the Chargers. They could lose to the Chargers, I suppose. But let's say they beat those two teams. They'll be favored to do so probably, right? And they had one kind of upset, not a huge upset, but they are able to beat Arizona. We're looking at them heading into the Rams game at 7-5. Our entire impression of this team will be
Hold that thought. Stephen A., can I just ask you a question really quickly? Do you find it very interesting that Max this year is going so hard for the Patriots? He seems so invested in this New England team and Bill Belichick. I just find it a little curious. Do you?
My response to that is I'm not taking the bait. I am not giving this man an excuse to talk about Tom Brady in association with the New England Patriots at all. I'm not falling for the okie doke. I'm not giving him any excuse to bring that up. Not at all.
All right.
Ollie,
we'll leave it there.
I resemble that remark.
Please, everybody's got an agenda. The Patriots, first time they've won consecutive games this season and no turnovers as well. We'll see if that continues. When we come back here on First Take, the Eagles' woes continue, this time